So this second part is about, we've heard about collaboration to understand social needs. This is collaboration to solve the problem, and right now there are what is known as wicked problems, complex issues that no single individual agency can solve, and it's either you have top-down leadership that reduces the autonomy or fragmented, uncoordinated, and ground-up efforts. What we propose is to facilitate the construction of a blueprint for collective action. So I talk about blueprints because everyone from the architect to the engineer to the electrician to the plumber can look at the blueprint and understand exactly what is going on. So we aspire to do the same for social services or policy or programs. So this is an example. If you sought to find employment for people with disabilities, you typically work out some kind of a theory of change. So for people with disabilities to secure jobs, employers have to be willing to hire them, but first employers have to understand their capabilities and find it financially feasible. So that's your theory of change. And then you figure out what you're going to do in order to achieve all these outcomes that you say you want to achieve. So I'm going to do employer engagement to do this, financial incentives to achieve this, and these are some of the outputs. So what do I need? I need this kind of resources and trainers and funding in order to do all these things. So this is, in the literature, what is called either a logic model or a theory of change, and it basically maps out a blueprint for you to understand just what you are trying to achieve and how it all adds up. I've color-coded it so you can see strategically that this is your employer engagement thrust and this is your PWD capability thrust, so that you get a sense of what the blueprint or the strategic action map is. And you can check the flow, achievability, check the tightness of this, like, are your financial incentives really good enough to make it financially feasible? Is your funding, are your activities aligned to the resources that you're bringing, etc. So this kind of blueprint also allows you to check the relationship between your aspired impact, right? What you can reasonably hope to achieve and the scope of activities. If you want to achieve, you want to secure jobs for people with disabilities, it looks like you have to do all these things. But if you want to roll back your ambition, and maybe you just stop here, then the scope of your activities will be less. And so the reason why we do this is because often some funder would give you $100,000, fund a marital counseling program, say, I want to see divorce rates in Singapore go down. And that clearly is an ambitious goal that what you are doing cannot hope to achieve. So a roadmap like this helps you see more clearly what needs to be done. And beyond that, you can test, for example, are there other factors you have not brought within your fold? Are there other causal factors that lead to all these things that you want to achieve? And if, let's say, there are too many other factors outside of your control, then perhaps this is not a reasonable impact. And unless you can bring it back into the fold of your program or policy, then perhaps it's best not to aspire to those goals. So these are things you can test. This was an example we did with South Foundation on financially vulnerable seniors, orange, blue, and green. So the kind of background to this is South Foundation started with wanting to start some financial literacy program for men. And so after they map out all the needs, they realized that, no matter how financially savvy you are in planning and managing your very little income, you won't be retirement ready. So, and so there is 3 pockets. One is your financial distress. If you are in financial distress, you cannot pay your bills, you need to get out of it. The second big part is your financial capability. You need to be earning enough income. And then the third part, of course, is after you have your income, know how to manage. So if you map it all out, you realize that, well, it doesn't just make sense to focus on financial literacy, which is this part. If you want really retirement ready or financial independence, then at least these are the 3 core things: financial distress, capability, and literacy has to be done. So this was an example of how you think about collective impact. And once you map it all out, you realize that on the left here, different partners are required for doing different things. So the green part here, you have your MAS, you have your Financial Planners Association, etc. Your blue part, which is your financial capability, maybe WDA, TAFEB, can play a role here. And to get out of distress, currently there are people like the Methodist Welfare Society that does debt repayment, but certainly the Moneylenders Association can play a role here. So it maps out not just the overall theory of change, but also who can play a role doing what. And so that's the blueprint idea. And I think that's all I care to say about it.